kind of goes to Aloe Constant's next question, which was, how's the development process going in your upcoming movies? They're going really well. I originally thought Big Bad Problem was an ensemble piece. It's not. It's about one guy who joins this ensemble. But it's not their story. It's his story. It has to happen to him. He has to change. He has to start out as a coward. He has to start out conflicted and nervous when other people aren't. And it's not easy to write your protagonist into the mud, but you have to do it. Because if you don't write your protagonist into the mud at the beginning, you can't drag him out of the mud at the end. And if he doesn't get dragged out of the mud, then what have you got? If he starts out muddy and ends muddy, you got a muddy guy. If he starts out golden and pristine and ends golden and pristine, where's the interest in that? The only stories that matter are people who start out dirty and get clean, or people who start out clean and get dirty. Those are the two stories. That's how it works. And you can tell a lot about the person, the writer's core philosophical beliefs by deciding which one of these two stories interests him. I'm not interested in stories about people who end up clean and get dirty. I'm interested in stories about people who start out dirty and get clean. I have a net positive philosophical belief. I believe that people are fundamentally good, and that truth is better than lies. I believe in goodness over evil, and I believe in terms like goodness and evil. I'm not interested in writing anti-heroes or anti-stories, but you do have to understand that to make these things work, you have to start out with a hero who's weak, who commits acts that are not appealing and that are cowardly, and it bothers the audience to see it. And it bothers the audience because it bothers the character too. And that character then carries this guilt and this angst around until the moment of truth appears, when courage is called for, and then if that person shows courage, they're redeemed. It doesn't matter how many times they run away. What matters is, do they stand up when the chips are as down as they get, when it's the ultimate confrontation, where there's nothing going to happen after this scene. This is the end of the movie. The whole movie's been building to this scene. Now this is the moment of truth. Do they run away? That's a story. But it's not the kind of stories I want to tell. Or do they step up? So I rewrote that. I rewrote Aurora to be about a guy. Not about the mission, not about the crew, not about the organization. The first pass on Aurora, which I did 10 years ago, was so interested in the whole idea of going to Jupiter that it was about the company. It was about the mission. And it's not interesting. I mean, it's interesting from a head point of view, but you got nothing to connect to. And it's only after reading this amazing book, this amazing, badly written book, that I started to realize, no, it has to be about a guy. It can be about a woman too. I don't know how to write them as well. You got to make it about somebody, and the audience has to connect with a person. That's your protagonist, whether it's a good person or a bad person. You can have an evil protagonist in an anti-story with an anti-hero, but that's just not for me. I just don't like those kind of endings. I don't like down endings, and I don't like ironic endings. I like up endings. But you can't do Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. It's got to be interesting. They got to suffer, and they got to earn it. They got to work. So that's basically it. And the second movie, which I don't talk about too much these days, although we're getting there, Common Sense Resistance. Exact same story. It's about a guy who's lost in the world, who is given an inciting incident. He's asked to infiltrate this Common Sense Resistance. He starts out believing in the big state, starts out believing in the power of the empire, basically. And through a series of climactic adventures where his life is endangered, he comes to realize that that these people who he's been sent to infiltrate are actually better people than the people that sent him. And he turns. He makes a decision. He grows. He becomes more complex. He's not so much interested in the amenities and the trappings of success. He's more interested in friendship and honor and courage and commitment and all those other things, freedom. And he makes the same decisions. And he has weaknesses. And that's how it works. Really. That's really how it works. So I think that's it.